There's a certain kind of quiet that comes before your world caves in. Not a peaceful quiet. No, it's more like the eerie stillness right before a tornado hits the porch, snatches your roof, and takes your lawn gnome to Oz. That's where I was. Sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee that tasted like burnt rubber and midlife regret, flipping through the mail like a man with no idea he was about to get emotionally carpet bombed. Her name was Natalie. My wife. 17 years of marriage. 17 years of inside jokes, joint tax returns, and color-coded family calendars. She was everything, or so I told myself. Natalie was a psychologist. Fitting in hindsight, considering she'd one day break my heart with the precision of a brain surgeon and the cold efficiency of a hitman. But back then she was just my wife who hated the way I folded towels and left toothpaste smears in the sink. It was a Tuesday, an aggressively average day. She kissed me on the cheek, told me to pick up milk on the way home, and floated out the door in that cashmere sweater I'd bought her for our anniversary. I remember thinking she smelled like lavender and low expectations. I didn't know it then, but that sweater? Yeah, that was for him. I worked in finance. Numbers, spreadsheets, and coffee-fueled forecasting. Boring? Sure. But at least spreadsheets don't lie to you while sleeping with someone else. The first crack came in the form of a dinner conversation. We were out at this little Italian place. Candlelight. Bruschetta. The illusion of romance. She asked, "Do you ever feel like we're drifting?" Now, let me translate that from wife speak. Drifting means I've been emotionally checked out for months and physically checked in somewhere else. I smiled like an idiot and said, "Yeah, maybe a little. Work's been crazy." She nodded, bit her lip, said nothing. I didn't know it then, but that was her soft launch. Her trailer before the feature presentation. I was too stupid to catch it. Or maybe just too trusting. The next 2 weeks passed with the speed and substance of a foggy dream. Hugs were shorter. Eye contact got rarer. Her phone lived face down. And me? I just kept assuming everything was fine because she hadn't said otherwise. Until one day, she did. That's when she dropped the line that made me pause the TV and look her dead in the eye. "I think we need to talk to someone. Like, together. To save everything." Now, if you've ever had a marriage, a mortgage, and a modicum of pride, you know that when your wife says save everything, it usually means she already lost it. But I played along. Nodded. Agreed to therapy. I wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. I didn't know she'd already handed her loyalty and apparently her weekends to someone else. But don't worry. I'd find out soon. And when I did, I wouldn't raise my voice. I'd raise the stakes. So we booked the session. Wednesday at 6, she said, tapping her phone with a little too much urgency. Her name's Dr. Keller. She's great. Open-minded. Non-judgmental. Open-minded. A therapist who wouldn't blink if my wife started spinning tales about emotional growth, while doing the horizontal tango with a yoga instructor named Chad or Blake or whatever ridiculous name men like that usually have. I wasn't suspicious, not fully, but the gut had started rumbling. You know that low, quiet churn in your stomach when the math doesn't quite add up? That's the soul's version of a smoke alarm. And then, like fate got bored of waiting, he showed up. Derek. Derek with the "I'm harmless" grin and the soft hands of a man who never fixed a leaky faucet in his life. Derek with his Patagonia vest and his too frequent "Hey man, just checking in" texts. Let me paint the picture. Natalie and I were out at a neighborhood block party. Everyone's milling about, pretending they care about someone's new pellet smoker. Natalie's over by the sangria stand, laughing that soft, high laugh that used to belong to me. And right next to her is Derek. Now, I'd met him before. Just enough times to not like him. He was the new guy in Natalie's professional circle, which, apparently, was code for emotionally available substitute husband with better Spotify playlists. She'd mentioned him maybe once or twice before. He's just a friend, sweetie. Let me tell you something. When a woman says, "just a friend," and suddenly starts saying his name in casual stories, Derek said this, Derek's hilarious, Derek thinks Whole30 is a cult, that's not a friendship. That's an audition. I watched the way they stood. Too close. Too familiar. Like they were trying not to be obvious. That's when I knew. I didn't have proof, not yet. But I knew. I went home that night and started paying attention. I checked phone records. She had a new passcode. Her texts were suddenly dry and short with me, but she was giggling at her screen like a teenager rediscovering hormones. You ever feel yourself disappear from someone's eyes? It's like watching your reflection fade from a mirror. The following Monday, she asked again about therapy. I think it could really help us, she said, holding her mug with both hands like a Hallmark character. I just want us to be honest with each other. Sure, I said, holding her gaze. Let's be honest. But what I didn't tell her was that I had a plan. A nuclear-grade, soul-crushing, spiritually sobering plan. See, she wanted therapy? Fine. I'd bring everyone to therapy. Even Derek. Especially Derek. Because if we were going to be honest, we might as well be honest in surround sound. There's a moment, right before you detonate a bomb, when everything feels still. Not calm, not peaceful. Just still. Like the air itself is holding its breath, waiting to see if you're really gonna press the button. That's how it felt walking into Dr. Keller's office. Neutral tones. Soft lighting. A diffuser puffing lavender mist like the scent of betrayal needed help staying in the room. Natalie sat on the couch, looking angelic in that white blouse she always wore when she wanted to seem innocent. Like a woman who says, I made a mistake, not, I made 6 of them and bought the guy a smartwatch. She smiled. Nervous. Hopeful. Or pretending to be. I'm glad you came, she whispered. Thank you for doing this. Oh, I wouldn't miss it, I replied, matching her energy like a mirror laced with explosives. And then the door opened again. Is this okay? She asked, a little too rehearsed, as Derek stepped in behind her. Dr. Keller blinked. You invited a third party? I wanted full transparency, Natalie said quickly, like she'd practiced the line in the car. Derek gave me a weak handshake. His palm felt like a marshmallow that had been left in the sun. I thought it might help, she added, eyes flitting between us. Oh, I agree, I said, smiling wide. It'll help a lot. Dr. Keller raised a brow. Well, let's start with what brought us here. I turned to Natalie. You first. She sighed, the kind of sigh someone gives when they're ready to confess but still want to sound noble about it. I've been feeling distant, she began, fiddling with a napkin. Like we stopped seeing each other. Like we became roommates. Roommates. That word. The classic foghorn of midlife infidelity. And Derek, she added, reaching for courage like it was bottled water. He reminded me what it felt like to be heard. Heard. Right. Because nothing screams communication like hotel receipts and hidden messages. Dr. Keller turned to me. How does that make you feel? And that was my cue. Calmly, too calmly, I leaned forward. Well, doctor, I began, it makes me feel like the fool in a play I didn't audition for. Natalie's smile faltered. But you know what really got me? It wasn't just the cheating, it was the production of it. The secret schedules. The passwords. The late-night walks that somehow smelled like Derek's cologne. I even recognized his car by the sound it makes turning the corner. That's how long it's been going on. Derek shifted. I didn't let up. You said we became roommates, Natalie. That's rich. You mean while I was budgeting for our next vacation, you were busy rehearsing your emotional exit with the guy you called just a friend. The friend whose messages I read. All of them. Her face froze. You know, I continued. I used to think I was paranoid. But then I started reading your texts like a man grading a group project he didn't know he was part of. And guess what, Doc? Turns out they weren't just emotional support texts. There were photos. Jokes at my expense. Even a nickname for me, the Sleeper. Derek's face went crimson. You invited me here for honesty, Natalie? I leaned back. I brought it. Dr. Keller sat there, eyes wide. I stood. I'm not here to fix this. I'm here to bury it. You two want to be together? Be together. I'm not standing in your way. I looked straight at Derek. I hope she gives you the same loyalty she gave me. And with that, I straightened my coat, nodded to Dr. Keller, and walked out. Calm. Dignified. But this wasn't the end. No, this was just the part where I let them think I was done. The revenge? That was still in the oven. You'd think walking out of that therapist's office would have felt like the end. Like I'd just dropped the mic and disappeared into the credits. But no, it felt more like halftime. The part where the crowd shifts in their seats and starts whispering about how the second act might get messy. And oh, it would. The next few days were quiet, not from me, though. From them. No texts. No calls. Not even a passive-aggressive email with the subject line, we should talk. Just radio silence, like two kids waiting to see how badly they'd screwed up the group project. But I wasn't sitting in the silence. I was building in it. I'd like to say I didn't have a plan, that I just moved forward with grace and dignity. But that would be a lie, and after living through a marriage built on one, I'm not here to lie to anyone, including myself. Natalie thought the therapy session was the crescendo. She didn't realize it was just the overture. See, when you've lived with someone long enough, You don't just know what they say, you know how they think. I knew Natalie better than she knew herself. She wasn't the type to walk away from a mess. She was the type to try and tidy it up with emotionally mature language and a Pinterest quote about healing. Her brain wouldn't let her sit in the aftermath. She'd try to rewrite the ending. So I waited. And I prepared. First thing I did? Called my lawyer. His name's Ron. He's got a voice like gravel and the moral flexibility of a Vegas blackjack dealer. Perfect man for the job. Told you this day would come, he muttered as he picked up the phone. Yeah, I said. And I'm ready now. Want the flamethrower or the scalpel? Both. We started with the finances. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't struggling either. And Natalie? She liked to think she managed our budget. Truth was, I'd let her play with the numbers while I managed the real accounts. We had one visible portfolio and two that were about as easy to find as a sane person on Twitter. By Friday, I'd moved everything I legally could, liquidated a few investments, froze the shared credit cards, set the utilities to autopay in my name only, changed the passwords to everything. Everything. She'd wake up soon to a digital landscape she no longer recognized. And when she called the banks, she'd find out that trust takes years to build and about 10 minutes to legally dismantle. Next was the house. Now, Natalie always loved the house. It was a craftsman-style two-story with a wraparound porch and a backyard that made neighbors jealous. She said it felt like home. Said it reminded her of the kind of life we wanted. And that's why I had no intention of keeping it. I didn't want the house. I wanted her to watch it disappear. So I hired a realtor, a friend of Ron's, and prepped it for market. Photos, appraisal, paperwork. We kept everything quiet. Confidential listings only. No signs on the lawn. I didn't need the neighborhood gossip yet. I needed surprise. Like pulling the tablecloth out from under her favorite vase. You may be wondering, did she still live there? She did. Temporarily. Because Natalie thought we were processing. She thought we were taking space. She didn't know she was living in a ticking clock. She came home late that Friday, eyes tired, body slumped, like guilt was finally heavy enough to weigh her down. She paused when she saw the envelope on the kitchen table. She didn't touch it at first, just looked at it like it might bite her. Then she opened it. Inside? A copy of the listing, a note from the realtor, and a post-it from me that said, "You wanted a fresh start. Here's your open house." She didn't say anything that night. Didn't text me. Didn't call. But she didn't sleep either. I know, because I watched her from my car across the street. The bedroom light stayed on. She kept pacing. She looked like a woman trying to figure out which thread to pull before the whole sweater came undone. Saturday morning, the knock came. I opened the door. Natalie stood there with her hair in a loose bun and panic bubbling just beneath the surface. "You're selling the house?" "Technically," I said, "we're selling the house. But yes, I initiated the process. You didn't talk to me about it. You didn't talk to me about Derek. Seems we both made executive decisions." She stared. I stared back. "I thought," she began, then stopped. "You thought I'd fold," I said. "You thought I'd cry, beg, maybe even blame myself a little. You thought you could cheat, confess, cry, and reset the board. But I'm not a doormat, Natalie. I'm not a story you get to rewrite." Her lips trembled. "This is too fast." "No," I said, stepping closer. "What was too fast was letting another man into your heart while I was still in the same bed. This is overdue." And then I did something she didn't expect. I smiled. "You asked me to save everything," I said. "I am." With that, I closed the door. On her. On the house. On us. I didn't look back. Because real revenge isn't noise. It's silence. It's calm. It's doing the thing they never expected. Walking away with your dignity, your plans, and the receipts. There's a special kind of rage reserved for the man who smiles in your face while stabbing you in the back with your own steak knife. Derek. Smug, well-moisturized, CrossFit Derek. He was the kind of guy who always knew the right thing to say, mostly because he never said anything real. Just polished sound bites and affirmations like a walking Instagram caption. "You have such a calm energy," he once told me at a barbecue. "No wonder Natalie feels so safe with you." Safe. Right. Like a vault he was planning to rob. Now, I could have just left it at the therapy ambush and the home sale surprise. Could have moved on with my life and let karma finish the job. But see, Derek wasn't just a man who crossed the line. He skipped across it in flip-flops, grinning the whole time. And so, I gave karma a little nudge. It started with research. Nothing fancy. Just LinkedIn, a few social media scrolls, and a background check courtesy of Ron's shady cousin who could find out what kind of cereal you ate in 2004 if given enough time and a dial-up modem. Turns out Derek was up for a promotion at his firm, a big one. Partner track. His LinkedIn banner had a quote about integrity and professional excellence, which made me laugh so hard I nearly dropped my coffee. He also had a girlfriend. Fiancée, actually. Name was Amber. They'd been together 3 years. Lived in a condo across town. Cute dog. Shared Netflix account. Joint Pinterest board. The whole setup. Apparently, cheating was Derek's side hustle. I could have contacted Amber right away. Could have dropped a truth bomb into her inbox and walked away. But that's not how I operate. Instead, I made a dinner reservation. Amber was easy to find. Her photography business had a charming little website with a contact form. I booked a consultation, then showed up at her studio with a manila envelope and a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. "Hi," I said, shaking her hand. "I'm not here for wedding photos." She blinked. "Oh, then. I'm here because your fiancé and my wife have been seeing a lot of each other." Naked. Amber stared at me, confused. That's the thing about betrayal, the first few seconds are always silence. The brain tries to reboot. I handed her the envelope. Inside? Screenshots. Dates. A copy of the hotel receipt from the weekend Natalie told me she was visiting her sister. "I'm sorry," I said softly. "You didn't deserve this." Amber didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat down, opened the folder, and let the evidence sink in. After a few minutes, she looked up. "So what now?" "That's up to you," I said. "I'm handling things on my end. But I thought you deserved the truth before you start picking out centerpieces." That night, Derek came home to a locked door and his entire closet boxed up on the patio. I wasn't there, of course, but Amber sent me a picture, a Polaroid, actually, taped to the top box. For the man who had everything and still wanted more. Beautiful handwriting. The next day, Derek lost his job interview. His firm was conservative, old school. They didn't take kindly to personal scandals, especially ones involving married women and employees from client companies. Oh, did I forget to mention that Natalie's firm had a working relationship with his? Yeah, not anymore. He tried to call me. Left a voicemail that started off strong and then slowly melted into a kind of breathy panic. "Hey, man, listen. I know things got complicated, but I think we should talk. I never meant for this to happen. We were friends. I respected you. I just think there's a way to move past this, you know? For everyone's sake." I deleted it halfway through. My therapist, yes, I actually got one of my own, said it was good I wasn't holding on to anger. But I wasn't angry. I was efficient. There's a misconception about revenge, that it has to be loud, public, explosive. But the best kind? The kind that stings long after the dust settles? That's quiet. Surgical. A slow burn. Derek didn't lose his life. He just lost his image. Amber posted the full story, with evidence, to a private Facebook group for local women and business owners. The kind of post that starts with, "I'm not usually one to share personal drama, but," and ends with 300 comments from strangers calling him trash with a LinkedIn. Within 48 hours, he deleted all his social accounts. Within a week, he was living in a short-term rental with no furniture and half his wardrobe still in boxes. And Natalie? Well, she tried to reach out. Again. "Can we talk? I didn't know things would go this far. You've made your point. You win. But here's the thing, this wasn't about winning. It was about walking away with my head high while they stumbled around in the wreckage they built together. It was about control, clarity, closure. And as I sat on my friend's porch that night, sipping a drink, watching the sun slide behind the trees, I finally felt what I hadn't in months. Peace. Not because I destroyed them, but because I remembered who I was. And I remembered that I never needed to scream to be heard. Natalie moved back in with her sister. That's what I heard through the grapevine, anyway. Funny how quickly the support system dries up when you go from successful professional to that woman who got caught. Turns out, people don't line up to hold your hand when your downfall comes with a public side of screenshots. She called me again. Left a message I'll never delete, not because I cared, but because it's a masterclass in self-pity. I never meant to hurt you. I just got lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. You didn't know who you were? Lady, you had a husband, a career, and a life people would fake on Instagram. You knew exactly who you were. You just didn't want to be her anymore. She sent a letter a week later. Handwritten. Long too long. It started with, "I miss us," and ended with, "Please, let's fix this." But in the middle? That's where the real punch landed. She blamed me. Said I pulled away emotionally. Said I made it easy for someone else to get close. Amazing. You burned the house down and blamed the guy who forgot to check the batteries in the smoke detector. I didn't respond. Not once. Not in voice, not in ink. She wanted forgiveness like it was a favor I could hand out at the counter. But see, some debts you don't pay with words. Some you pay by living with the silence. I got a storage unit for the last of her things. Every sweater, mug, and dusty yoga mat, boxed, labeled, and stacked like an inventory of broken promises. When it was done, I sent her a message. Just one. Unit number 403, code 4219. You've got 30 days. No love. No sign-off. Just business. She came on day 27. I watched from a distance, not because I cared, but because I wanted to see how she'd carry it. She looked tired. Not devastated. Just hollow. Like someone who finally realized the spotlight turned out to be a heat lamp. She didn't cry. Didn't pause. She loaded everything into the back of a borrowed SUV and drove off. That was the last time I ever saw her in person. Some people say closure comes from conversation. I say it comes from watching someone carry their own consequences out of your life, one cardboard box at a time. There's no manual for life after betrayal. No guidebook titled, "So your spouse imploded the marriage. Now what?" What I did have, though, was time. And space. And silence. Beautiful, healing silence. I started waking up early not because I had to, but because I could. Coffee on the porch. A book in my hands. A brain not on high alert for lies between the lines. I reconnected with old friends. Some had drifted away when we became a couple. Funny how easily people come back when they realize you're human again. One of them, Jake, dragged me to a hiking trail one weekend. I hadn't realized how much I'd missed dirt under my boots and wind in my lungs. Felt like rediscovering a part of me I'd packed away for someone else's comfort. I started writing again, too. Not about her. Just writing. Thoughts. Observations. Dry jokes. Things that reminded me I still had a voice that didn't sound like bitterness. Turns out, when someone breaks your heart, it doesn't kill you. It just gives you room to build a better 1.6 months later. I got an email. Subject line, "Thank you." It was from Amber, Derek's ex-fiancée. She told me she'd moved out of town. Started over. Joined a photography collective in Colorado. Apparently, publicly dumping a cheater gave her a cult following and some new clients. But that's not why she wrote. She wrote because she wanted to apologize. Not for what happened, she wasn't the villain, but for not seeing it sooner. For thinking I was just another husband who probably had it coming. She said watching me handle everything, not with violence, but with precision, changed her. Most people explode. You just walked away and let the fire burn behind you. That sentence stuck with me. Because that's what it felt like. I didn't destroy them. I let them destroy themselves. And then I rebuilt what they thought they'd taken from me. A year after it all went down, I stood in the driveway of my new home. Smaller house. Bigger windows. No ghosts. Natalie and Derek? Last I heard, they tried dating for real. It lasted 3 months. She caught him texting someone else. The irony was so thick you could spread it on toast. Derek now works out of state. Amber made sure his former firm knew exactly what he was bringing to the table. Let's just say his LinkedIn page got real quiet. Natalie, well, she changed jobs. New firm, new last name. She doesn't use mine anymore. That part made me smile. But here's the twist no one saw coming. I'm happy. Not in a bumper sticker way. Not in a look what I've overcome speech. Just quietly, deeply happy. Because I came out the other side without losing who I was. Because I never begged. Because I kept my dignity. And because no matter how much they tried to drag me down, I still had my soul. And my sense of humor. And my balls.